Little discussion of what assignment 3 entails. Pretty straightforward, basically some of the same stuff that we went over today. So looking at the PDF here that I pulled off the website, um, I had in the homework that you could shoot some files for this. I don't think I emphasized that at the end of last class, and so if you did not do that, that's totally fine. You should feel free to use the files that I provided for assignment 3. So they're in the folder called like files for assignment 3 or something. Um, so there are 3 exposure files. For those 3 exposure files, you will take the one that's too dark and the one that's too light. You will put a curves adjustment layer on the one that's too dark. You will put a curves adjustment layer on the one that's too light. And you will try to adjust the 2 images until they match as close as you can, right? It's not going to be perfect. The image that is properly exposed, right? So you'll have 3 images, one that's too dark, one that's too light, one that is sort of your reference, and you will use curves layer, adjustment layer on the too dark one and the too light one to try and make them match the one that is fine. When you turn them in, you'll turn in the middle one, right? The middle one, all you'll do probably is just rename the layer. You don't actually have to do any adjusting to it. With the color files, you'll try to correct the color using a curves layer and adjusting those individual channels. Right, we demoed that a little bit with the still life, with the teacup and the color chart and the Goya stuff. These will be a little bit harder. Again, will you get it exactly right? No, probably not. You can try seeing if there's something that's medium gray you can click on with that eyedropper. I don't remember if there's, I think maybe there's not. But you'll try that using those curves, and you'll try the same thing going into the camera raw adjuster in Photoshop, right? So by taking the DNG version and dragging it directly into Photoshop. When you do that, you can, here, let me just pull that sample again. So when you bring it in, what we want to do is under that basic tab, right, we want to go to white balance, and we can adjust both the temperature and also the tint. So temperature is working on the blue-yellow or blue-amber axis, and tint is going on the green-magenta axis. 99 times out of 100, we're going to want to do it on the blue-magenta axis. That is most of what our difference is, going from something like daylight to something like tungsten. You can always try an eyedropper if you have a neutral gray, but if not, or if you want to fine-tune it, you can do those guys here. There's also a drop-down where you can choose presets. For this, I would say try doing the sliders first. Once you've done that, right, we want to be able to turn in that image. So when we have it in here, we do the adjustments to the DNG, and then I want you to turn in the DNG. I don't want you to convert it into something else. So the way that you're going to save those adjustments that you made to the DNG is that once you have done your white balance fiddling, again, not with this one, with the one that's for your homework, just come down here and hit done. So when you do that, it will take whatever camera raw adjustments you made to that raw file, and it will say, okay, that's where we left it, basically put a bookmark in it, and the next time you open that raw file, it will have the same setup. Then you'll rename it, put them all in a folder, and drop those guys onto Google Drive. So that's the homework. Should be pretty straightforward, right? Basically just practicing with your curves layers, making sure you're renaming stuff, making sure that you can sort of get things reasonably close as you do those adjustments. For next week, this is due also. Project 1 is due, so if you have any questions on any of that, shout at me during class or drop me an email, and yeah, look forward to seeing your Project 1 images next week. and good luck with assignment 3.